Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back to Take Time for Torah. I'm so glad that you decided to join us this week. This week is Parshat Mishpatim, which contains a great deal of Jewish civil law. And it's interesting, and it comes in the week following the Israelites' experience at Mount Sinai and their receiving the Torah, and in particular the Aseret HaDibrot. And it's interesting, this week in Kulanu, our Community Hebrew High program, one of my students asked, looking up at one of the walls in the school class that we were in, had a picture of the Ten Commandments, the Aseret HaDibrot. And he asked the question, why are they broken up the way that they are? So I said, let's take a look at them. And we looked at these 10 commandments, and they said, okay, on that left side are all of these religious kinds of commandments, and on the right side is all this civil stuff. You know, on the left side, don't have any other gods before me, don't worship idols, keep Shabbat, and on the right-hand side it had don't steal, don't murder, don't covet your neighbor's wife, etc. And I said to them, well, no, actually, all of them are religious. All of them are faith-oriented and help create a divine community. On the one hand, on the left-hand side, those are mitzvot ben adam lamakom, mitzvot between ourselves and God. And on the right-hand side are often the mitzvot ben adam lachaviro, the mitzvot between ourselves and our fellow person. And I didn't realize it at the time, but my student was asking the same question that Rashi asked in the 11th century. Rashi asks, why is this section dealing with the Jewish civil law come immediately after the mitzvot commanding the arrangement of the altar? And Rashi answers the question and says, that's because the arrangements are to tell us that we should seat the Sanhedrin near the temple. That the seat of government, the seat of judging, should be next to the seat of faith and relationship between ourselves and God. And in the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, Rabbi Abraham Bornstein, or better known as the Avnei Ezel, teaches actually a very interesting piece that goes along with this. He teaches that other nations regard the laws pertaining to the relations between man and his fellow man not as religious observances, but as social and civic duties, which must be performed to preserve the social order of the land. The Jewish people, however, teach and regard the civil laws as civil ordinances as divine commandments, with a sanctity all their own. So just as the ritual of sacrifices constitutes the worship in the temple, so the observance of Jewish civil law represents Jews' service to God in everyday life outside. For this reason, it was only fitting for the Sanhedrin, the Israel's supreme court of law, that should be seated close to the Holy Temple. As I think about both of this, my understanding of this is that every day we strive to be holy. We strive to be holy not just in observing Shabbat and Kashrut and the religious, or what we call religious stuff. We also strive to be holy when we perform the civic and cultural responsibilities that we have. How is it that we respect one another? How is it that we treat others with respect and we act ethically? Don't steal, don't murder. Those are not just civil laws, those are holy laws. And both of these coming together create for us a sense of holiness both in ourselves and in our community. So this week, as you go through your day, and think about the mitzvot that you do perform, because everyone performs a mitzvah or mitzvot every single day. It may be as simple as the act of putting a little bit of your extra change into that box right next to the cash register in Wawa. It might also be the mitzvah of treating others with respect. All of those are acts of holiness that raise and lift all of us better as a community. So in addition to observing Shabbat and Kashrut, I also encourage you to observe the mitzvot ben adam lachavero, the mitzvot between ourselves and God. Holding them both close together makes us a stronger Jewish community, makes us a stronger people. So go out there and perform those civic mitzvot. Go out there and perform those mitzvot in our relationship with God. And together we will create a mamlechet kohanim, a kingdom of priests, a community of holiness. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Shabbat.